Hey there, I'm Seth Burrows. I am a Berklee grad and guitar teacher in Bend, Oregon. And normally, when I think about becoming a great guitar player, I think there's three things that you gotta have. One is good ears, one is knowledge of the fretboard, and what's the other one? And the other is dexterity. So today I'm going to talk about those three areas and my exercises for each of them. Let's go. Okay, so good ears. What does that even mean? So to me, I think good ears mean that you are able to hear something and then find it on the guitar and play it. So the more that we can get your ear connected to your hands, the better off you're going to be when you need to play things that you want to play. Obviously, the first place to start is you got to be listening to stuff that you like all the time, never not listening to music. So the more that you listen and try to figure out what you are hearing, the better you're going to be. It's a lot like learning a language. The way that you learn a language when you're very small is that you listen to people speaking that language and you imitate them. Same thing with guitar playing or music in general. You listen to people that you admire and you try to learn what they're doing. Sometimes this can be really daunting and it can be super frustrating, but it's also valuable. One of the first things that I have my students do is I ask them to think of a song that they know by heart, whether it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, or Happy Birthday, or You Are My Sunshine, or Somewhere of the Rainbow, or Jingle Bells, anything that they know by heart and that they can sing without having to hear it. These are normally things that you would find in a guitar method book at the beginning, but they would make you read them. What I have my students do is take the song that they know by heart and I try to make them find it on the guitar. Well, let's say the student chose Happy Birthday. I have them sing a note. Happy birthday. Right, so happy. So for me, my starting note is B. All right, so happy, happy. Does that note move, right? I asked them all these questions. Does that note move for the next note? Happy. Are those two notes the same or different? And they're like, the same? Yeah, right. And then you have them sing more of it. Happy birth. And I have them try the next note. So I say, does that note sound the same anymore? Happy birth, right? And they're like, no, it's different. Okay, does it go higher or lower? And they're like, happy birth, higher. Okay, so that means it's somewhere up the neck towards the body. Okay. Does that sound happy birth? Right, so that note that I'm playing on the guitar is higher than the note I'm singing. So, happy birth, happy birth. So that note that I just played on guitar that time is too low. So there's only one note on the neck in between those two, and that's this. Wow, by the process of elimination, we figured it out. So we've got happy birthday, day, happy birthday. Right, does that fourth note, I guess, sound like it goes back to the note from before or to a different note? Right, so you get the point. So eventually, after they've figured it out for a week and they've gone home and they've evaluated each note, they'll get somewhere like right? They'll be able to play the whole song. All right. They still don't know what any of those notes are called, and they don't know why they relate to each other in that way, but they're getting their hand and their ear connected. And I think that's the main point of getting good ears. Second thing is knowing your way around the fingerboard, knowing where all the notes are on the fingerboard. So I have a few things that I do to help students get good at this part. So first I just give them a sheet that has all the notes on the low E string, all the natural notes, right? So you got E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, right up to the 12th fret, because it's a good place to know up to, and then it just starts to repeat, right? After they've learned all the natural notes, then we talk about those notes that are in between and how they could potentially have two names, right? So this second fret could either be F sharp or G flat, right? It could be this fourth fret could either be G sharp or A flat, and so on. But I make sure that they notice that there's not a fret in between B and C, there's not a fret in between E and F. After I explain to them where all the notes are, then I'll quiz them. And I'll say, I have a dice app on my phone actually, so it has a 12-sided die that has all the names of the notes on it. So I'll shake it and I'll say, all right, where's B flat? And normally beginning guitar students do this. They'll say, okay, E, F, G, A, B flat. This is the phase that I call target practice, where you're actively learning where everything is, okay? So this is part of the 2 TPs, I call them, right? So the first TP is target practice. I'll do it that way, and I'll also do it the other way. So I have a regular 12-sided die with numbers on them, and I'll say, okay, what's the 9th fret? What note is on the 9th fret? And they'll be like, E, F, G, A, B, C sharp, C sharp, or E, D, D flat. And normally I'm always telling them to make use of the fingerboard markers because they're there to help you, right? This double dot is very important. It's an octave away from each of the open notes, right? Things like that. So after that, then I introduce them to the circle of fifths. The one that I give them, it goes up a fifth clockwise, down a fifth counterclockwise. So I'm always telling them to go around the circle counterclockwise. So what we do is, during that first week that I've given them the circle of fifths, I just make them try to get around the circle once per practice session. So they're like, so it starts on C, right? So they gotta go C, and they gotta go to F. They gotta go to B flat. And they gotta go to E flat and A flat. And so on around the circle until they get all the way back to C. After that, then I figure they're pretty good at target practice by this time. So it's time to move on to phase 2, the second TP. So the second TP is time pressure. So this is when I introduce the metronome. And the metronome, my metronome's always on 60 beats per minute. What I end up doing is I end up starting them off on the circle of fifths as whole notes around counterclockwise, right? So I'm always counting to 4 with each note. So I start on C, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then F, 2, 3, 4, B flat. Okay, but I make it a game. So if you can't make it to the next note by the next time you say 1 in time with the metronome, or you miss the note, you have to go back to the beginning. So if you do this, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, B flat, E flat. Oh, I missed it. Gotta go back to the beginning and start over. 1, C, 3, 4, F, right? Until they can do it all the way around the circle as whole notes at 60 beats per minute. And then it gets worse and worse from there. Always moving the goalposts. So now it's time for thing 3. Thing 3, like all these things are actually happening concurrently when I teach people. Thing 3 is dexterity. If you've never played guitar before, it can be kind of daunting to figure out where you're supposed to put your finger, how hard you're supposed to press, which part of your finger you're supposed to use, where on the back of the neck your thumb is supposed to be to make everything more efficient, and how you're supposed to move efficiently between notes. There's all these things that are not obvious when you start playing guitar. What I like to do is start them off with the spider exercise. Everybody knows the spider exercise, but I don't know if you do it my way or not. The spider exercise is real simple. I'm going to start on the 9th fret. My first finger on the 9th fret, middle finger on the 10th fret, third finger on the 11th fret, pinky on the 12th. And I'm going to pick each note and ascend. Like that. Nothing to it, right? Except when you're starting out, it's real hard. Because your fingers rebel and they don't do the thing that you are telling them to do. So that's really what this dexterity and what all these dexterity exercises is for. It's for making your hand behave. So it's just that on each string from low to high. So it sounds like this. Right? So normally that's hard. It takes a few weeks for a student to get up to that place, largely because I don't let them get away with anything. If they've done something, if they're doing it like that, I go, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. Play the first note. I'm like, all right, you're not going to move on to the next note until you can get that note to sing out clear, ring like a bell, right? Like pure tone. So, I'll say, use your pincher, you pinch with your thumb and your finger. Oh, okay, right? And they start to get that. And then I go, okay, now you can move on to the next note, next finger. Okay. All right, they'll do something like that, and you're like, no, wait till that one's clear. Okay. Right? And then they can move on to the next string. But I don't let them sort of fluff through or try to sort of smear past something. After they can do that, and they can get all the way to the bottom, right? So when they get to this point, I have them move their whole hand backwards down a fret and then go backwards in reverse. Okay, so that is actually even harder because we're starting with our two weakest fingers that kind of need the most dexterity training, that require the most thought and effort for them to be able to behave. I make this part of their warm-up routine. So they go down as far as they can. So as the farther down I go, the more my hand is getting stretched out. So that's kind of the beauty of this. I think that I learned it this way from Charlie Chapman. When you get down here, and you're a beginning student, and you're able to do this fairly well, now you're ready for scales. That's the big three, right? Ears, ear training, listening, knowledge of the fingerboard, and dexterity, right? So that's the real basic overview of how I would take somebody who's super new through listening, through fingerboard, like learning the notes, and through dexterity. I hope that helped, and I'll see you in the next video.